Hello and welcome to France 24's weekly music show. I'm Jennifer Ben Brahim. Coming up.
I want to be part of the band. For once can things just go my way.
UK-based Nigerian musician Obongjayar draws inspiration for his music from around the world, from pop, punk, dance and West African rhythms. His debut album, Some Nights I Dream of Doors, garnered him an Ivor Novello-nomination. Now he's just dropped his ferocious and danceable second record called Paradise Now, and he joins me in the studio to tell us more. Obongjayar, welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Welcome to France.
Thank you for having me, man.
I heard you arrived last night, so...
I arrived last night, I'm leaving this evening.
Speedy visit.
I love France, I love Paris, and I wish I was staying here a bit longer. One of the songs on the album is actually written here in Paris.
No way. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll be telling more later about your shows, but there's definitely a show to catch later this year.
Absolutely.
Now, I believe that you wanted to create an album that you could listen to from start to finish on a night out. And what's interesting is that you actually hosted a series of nights out in London whilst making this record. Can you tell us more about this process?
Initially, when I started writing the album, it wasn't called Paradise Now. It was meant to be something else. The album title was Instant Animal. And I had the idea to host these parties, which was then called Paradise Now, and which was to have my friends come down and play music. I'll play on release stuff or stuff that I was working on for the record at the time. And during that whole process, as we were having the nights, it kind of became a celebration of the moment, you know? Being in a space, like it's a very small venue, 250 capacity. It's this place called Omside Projects in London, in South London. And all my friends would come down, I'll watch my friends play, we'll have a dance afterwards, we'll have, have a lot of fun, and we're just in this process of having, like celebrating life and celebrating music, unfinished music that wasn't complete, you know? And the idea then came to me that if I'm able to play these songs as they are in this moment, not complete, and we're able to still like enjoy what's going on, it made sense for me to then turn the album into what became Paradise Now, you know?
I'm guessing you got some good feedback as well from people coming to the party, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily feedback. It was just like people never, like, the music that was being played, no one had heard before, right? And people weren't necessarily like interested or wanting to hear the old stuff, that we were just there to engage in music and enjoy music, you know? And that process just made me realize that the songs that were being made didn't matter. It wasn't about familiarity. It was just about groove. Groove was the most important thing, and that became like a huge part of why the record sounds the way it is, because I didn't want to get in the way of the groove of the music and overcomplicate things. And I wanted to be as straight to the point lyrically as I possibly could. And the parties then really, really, really influenced how the record then turned out, you know?
Well, also I read that you said that parties are kind of a way for people to really connect, to actually be their most authentic selves. And I believe that you moved from Nigeria to London as a teenager. I'm wondering if like music, these kind of parties were a way in which to kind of connect with people in this new environment, kind of really be yourself.
When I was younger, you mean?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I didn't really go to that many parties. I was pretty
sensible.
shy. I was very not sensible at all. I would have loved to go to parties, but I was really shy as a kid. So I didn't really have the opportunities to go to especially in Nigeria. My parents were quite strict, so there was literally no way of like going to parties. So what I'd do is I'd sneak out the house. We lived in this 2-story building, and I would climb down from the second floor down to the first floor and go out and hang out with my friends. I wasn't even drinking at the time, but I smoked a cigarette, and I thought that was the craziest thing in the world. And then I'll sneak back in, and my grandma wouldn't know any different. I mean, and that was very few and far between, you know. But later on, as time went on, when I moved to the UK and went to university in Norwich, and I was working at this retail store, the people who I worked with were like DJs and like ran nights. So I was introduced to this world of like the club nights and like the party nights, and parties where the music that was being played was very different from the contemporary or like the mainstream clubs. It was like, the small settings, people playing funk music, dance music, electronic music, like really cool stuff, and a variety of stuff. And that then made me realize that it is possible to engage with people if you are your authentic self. You don't have to, ascribe or subscribe to like what the mainstream thing is. You can be yourself, and your being unique is what makes people what draws people to you, you know?
Exactly.
So that was a very big influence on like how I then carried on through my career.
Well, we're going to listen to one of the tracks from the album. It's very danceable, very fun. This is Sweet Danger.
Hey.
Show go on top. Girl, I heard you like the bad boys. Yeah, I'm a bad boy. Can't stop, won't stop. Oh. And she says she like I'm rough. People ride me like a cowboy. Yeah, I'm your cowboy. Can't stop, won't stop. Oh. You sweet like sugar. Let me taste your sugar. You can't be super.
So that was Sweet Danger from Obongjayar's latest album. Now, on the album, you also reference spirituality on, for example, the song Holy Mountain and Prayer.
Yes.
And you were just talking about your childhood in Nigeria. You said growing up, some of your earliest musical memories were actually linked to the church. How so?
Yes. So when I was younger, my family's Christian. I'm not religious anymore, but when I was growing up, my family was Christian, and we'd go to church every Sunday. But my church was a very peculiar kind of church because there was no musical instruments in the church. We all sang, it was like when we sang praise and worship songs, it was a cappella. So we'd use our voices and everyone be harmonizing, and it was this very beautiful thing. I remember being a kid and trying to harmonize in like a baritone voice, and I'd go like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was very influential to me because I think it helped me hone my voice, whether I realized it at the time or not. And I guess spirituality plays a huge part in my music. Spirituality in the sense of the understanding of the universe and your personal, how you personally relate to yourself, rather than believing in a deity, which is possible. I don't know, I can't say for sure. But I always grapple with that and always question that and try to figure out how these things play a part in my life, So a song like Holy Mountain, which is about a girl, it's almost like a song that references loving someone so much, it becomes a religion. It's religious. It's a religious experience. You're looking up to someone. You want to build a church in the name. You want to praise them and celebrate them.
Your twist on religion and spirituality.
My twist on religion and spirituality is love and hope.
Exactly. Now we move on to some other album releases, and actually starting with someone that I think you might know, one of UK's best rappers, Little Simz. Now she's back with her sixth record called Lotus. Now the title symbolises a kind of new beginning and a renaissance of sorts after one of the most tumultuous periods of her life. Now the Mercury Prize winner has transformed these kind of feelings of betrayal and self-doubt into music, such as this next track called Flood, featuring Moon Chalsanelli and our guest today, Obongjayar. Hey. Take it away.
As I walk this wicked ground, keep me away from the devil's palm. I am the...
How dare you? I was shutting down the world and it scared you. Can't hold a girl down, that's this bad. She ain't nice with my nails and my hairdo. Not the type that would trip off nostalgia. Too nice, but my silence is louder. Spend enough, but my finances louder. I'm not the type to abuse all my power. Realness in the village I come from. All my dolls go to sleep with a muzzle. You can do shapes around it.
So that was Little Simz. Now Obongjayar, she is on your album. She's the only feature. She's on the track Talk Olympics. What makes your musical bond so special, would you say?
Me and Simz have an understanding of each other that goes beyond, I guess, personal relationship. I think we just speak the same language musically. And I think with music, I think it's very important for you, in terms of collaboration, to be able to lay yourself bare with the person you're working with. You need to be able to be vulnerable. There shouldn't be any sort of there shouldn't be any sort of competitiveness when it comes to making music. You need to trust the person. When you know someone that well and you both understand each other, it makes both of you, or you and your collaborators, able to then give every single thing to the last drop. And I feel like me and Simz have that in common. So when we make music together, and I mean, if I do say so myself, the stuff we've made together is pretty fire.
It's pretty good, I have to say.
It's pretty fire. Yeah.
I hope this collaboration continues.
Always.
Now we're going to move on to another musician. This one is an American legend called Neil Young, and at the tender age of 79 years old, he's embarking on a new adventure with a new band called the Chrome Hearts. Their debut album, Talking to the Trees, is going to be going around all the festivals this year, including a headline slot at Glastonbury. Now, one of the tracks off the album is called Let's Roll Again, and quite topically, it's a diss track against a certain Elon Musk. Take a listen.
Safe way.
So that was Neil Young and his diss track of sorts. Now, Obongjayar, you also have a diss track on your album called Jellyfish.
I do.
Tell us more about who you're talking
Jellyfish,
about.
Jellyfish, I made Jellyfish at a time, I was just really pissed off. This was like the beginning of the war in Palestine. And as disgusted as I was about what is going on currently still in Palestine, I was more disgusted about our government's reaction to it and how they kind of kept walking up on eggshells around the topic, and they're flip-flopping here and there. Didn't have a direction of what the course they were going to take was. And at the time, Rishi Sunak was the person in power. And initially, when I was writing the song, I was going to aim it directly at Rishi, but I thought, I just know governments are the same. Everywhere across time, it's the same thing, So the song was basically calling them out and being like, don't be, you have no backbone. You're not standing on your 2 feet.
We've come to the end of the show. I want to thank Obongjayar for coming to speak to us. Now, as I mentioned earlier, he will actually be back in Paris on the 20th of November at Trebendo. Now, before we go, just enough time to tell you about a very early contender for the Song of the Summer. That is pop singer Sabrina Carpenter. And she's just dropped the video for Man-Child, where we see her romping around the desert, calling out unworthy men. Now, we'll leave you with that. For more arts and culture, you can head to our website. There's some more news coming up on France 24 after this.